Hello friends, welcome to Fastcuts. We have seen movies of different languages and genres, but there are some movies that are unfamiliar to us today. So, Mr. John will introduce you all to a Thai movie that belongs to the genre of fantasy thriller, titled Till We Meet Again.
Under the direction of Giddens Co., this movie was first exhibited at the Bucheon International Film Festival. This film evokes a wide range of emotions. Overall, these movies have given a complete vibe to the audience. Without any further ado, let's go to the world of fantasy. The film begins with a scene in which a girl who drinks sip-up observes a few guys playing basketball on the court. Right next to it, the main character, Ahan, is playing basketball with a few of his mates. In between the games, Ahan and his mates had an argument about committing foul play inside the game. Suddenly, a strong rain came, so they stopped the game. All of them are on their way back to their homes, so they stood at a bus stop waiting for the rain to subside. Ahan was standing across from the bus stop. His teammates, who were standing opposite the bus stop, mocked him for his foul play on the court. As soon as the light stuck, the nearby post where Ahan was standing started to burn. Because of that, the nearby tree started to burn. Then the movie is taken to another place where Ahan meets a lady. The lady tells him that he is dead. Then, Ahans find it quite difficult to believe it. Ahan was struck by lightning and killed at the bus stop. Next, a lady in formal dress is interviewing Ahan. She is found busy entering some stuff on her desktop. Ahan looks around without understanding anything. The woman immediately tells Ahan to show his hands. Ahan held out his hand with no hesitation. The woman took a measurement of his hands in order to give him a bracelet of right pearls. The woman responded, "Those pictures represent the past of you." Ahan asked in wonder, "Am I a plant, a fish, or grasshopper?" She replied, "One will be reborn with all living things." Immediately, they heard a noise from the other room. The uproar consisted of a girl throwing everything at her interviewer, saying that if dead, then there is no life. Ahan asked the woman, "Usually, people get angry like this." She said that it would happen sometimes. The woman asks Ahan to select one of the photos that are displayed on the monitor, so that she can set one of the photos as the profile photo. The next scene shows a girl in the washroom washing her face. A dog is sitting beside her. After that, she took her dog to a nearby veterinary hospital for a checkup. The doctor who examined the dog determined that the dog was suffering from a tumor. According to the doctor, this disease is fairly common in all dogs and can result in death. The girl responded angrily that if there was any fault in saving the life. Ahan appears again in the following scene. The woman handed over the file to Ahan and told Ahan to sign it. Ahan replied that it was not complete and refused to sign the document that she had given. The woman tried her best to convince him. Ahan insisted that he would not sign it anyway. The woman got angry and she turned the desktop towards Ahan. The monitor displayed a video in which a woman was displaying everything in it. She began by saluting the dead. She stated that all punishment on you after death is forbidden, as is your choice of how you want to live after death. We also found a way to be reborn after death. If the pearl on the chain given to you is white, then your life is good. However, if the pearl is black, your life will be a living hell. People who have both mixed colored pearls in one hand have the chance to reincarnate as lizards or cockroaches. Ahan watched the video with a sneer on his face. He referred to the books that were kept there. He again heard the sound from the other room. Ahan got up and went near the wall that was covered with books. He saw a woman whose face was covered with ink. The women in the other room got up and ran towards Ahan's room. He quickly got back to his original position, where he stood up. The woman confronts Ahan, demanding to know why he looked. Ahan looked at her face and teased her. She replied to Ahan meaninglessly. Both of them saw a man sitting above the cupboard playing a flute. When Ahan heard the voice of the flute, Ahan noticed that his memory was gradually fading away. Suddenly, the interviewer slapped his face, forcing him to get up and answer the question that she asked. Ahan said that he saw a man playing a flute over there. She ignored him, took a file, and asked him whether he had decided to resurrect as a snail. Ahan looked at the pearl that he was wearing in his hand. It appeared to be both black and white. This indicates that he can be reborn as a snail or any other creature. The next scene shows a girl who has previously visited the doctor. She is arranging the things that are kept in the shop. She saw something over there when she was doing her job. Next to it, A woman is asked about the girl a shop owner. The lady asked the owner, "Isn't she the teacher at the high school?" The owner said that once she was, but now she is here. When the conversation was going on, the girl who was doing the work over there fell down. Meanwhile, the shop owner tells that something is wrong with her nowadays. The lady asked the owner if she would take care of the girl and take her to a sorcerer. The shop owner said that it is not necessary. When it was close to night, the girl went to a place. By keeping her hands close to her mouth, she said, "Fulfill the word that was given to her." The next scene shows the strange world in which all the aquatic creatures are flying in the air, with 3 people watching over it and Ah-Hun's wound healing inside. And then all the dead are watching every single thing inside of it. Meanwhile, the woman with ink on her face saw the chain of a child nearby. Then she asks the child in surprise, "How did you get such a white pearl?" She pondered her thoughts in wonder. She considered everything good about herself. She was confused as to where she had gone wrong. Ah-Hun was watching all this from right behind. The person next to her asked her if she was reincarnated as a worm. She was very sad. Ah-Hun called her from behind. He asks her if she chose to love God too. He starts talking in a way to impress her. Meanwhile, she told him, "You only have 5 white pearls. You are a rogue," and started counting her white pearls, teasing Ah-Hun. Then he started teasing her again by saying, "There is only 1 white pearl more than him in her hands." He also tells her that I died by lightning, so my life can't be scanned. Immediately, 2 people came there. They began to welcome them into the family of the God of Love. They told them the rules that needed to be followed. They explained things to them by saying that love relationships should be like this red herring. Then only your rebirth will be successful. And if someone's relationship sinks, he will perish or he will be reborn is what he got. When they heard that, they were all afraid. The next scene sees them deciding their fate. Everyone took the strings and started throwing them at the target. Ah-Hun threw all his strings right at the target. But then she misses all the targets, and she becomes jealous. She felt that she was at a stage of helplessness. As the level of the rounds started to alternate, Ah-Hun missed all of his targets in the second round. He has not been able to throw the circle thread onto the target. The little children over there started to make fun of him for his failed attempt. Seeing this, she burst out laughing and made fun of him. So they said many things back and forth and quarreled again. Then they all gathered together in one place. Everyone can be seen asking their doubts, and the match moderators replying to them. In the next scene, there was a whole alarm. Those on the top of the fort are wondering how someone got there without any pearls. In the next scene, he is seen holding a knife and stabbing everyone who comes in front of him. In the next scene, she walks into a room looking at a photo and sees a ghost sitting there. She is saying something to herself. Finally, she handed over a flag to her. After buying it, she started to see something. Suddenly, Ah-Hun came inside and threw away the flag and said, "If you touch it, you will transform into a ghost." She was there tired, and he went to see her. By that time, a man came from outside and asked the ghost to give back the things that belonged to him. The ghost teased him by asking what things he had. Enraged, he beheaded the ghost and took black pearls from it. Immediately, he gained strength and went inside the mirror in front of him. In the next scene, a child is brushing his teeth in front of a mirror. While the boy was brushing his teeth, he heard a voice from inside the mirror saying, "I have been waiting for 500 years." He looked carefully into the mirror. Immediately, something from inside the mirror pulled him inside the mirror. After that, the man's ghost entered the boy's body. In the next scene, the girl in the medical shop is being held for a ritual ceremony. Next, we are taken back to the fort scene. Each of them has found their mate. Within the time frame, each pair needs to place the rings on the ghost hands. If they fail to do so, they will be reborn as creatures like worms and cockroaches. Ah-Hun, and she asked each one. Everyone rejected their request. As a result, she and Ah-Hun were left. They both stood there without joining. Finally, they became a pair. Both of them stepped into the ring to start the test. The ghost just comes and goes in the blink of an eye. Both of them are not able to place the ring on the hands of the ghost. After many attempts, only one ring was left in their hands. Those who were outside the ring were not able to tolerate Ah-Hun and her foolish acts inside the ring. The moderators told them that they should produce a spark between them. Only then would they be able to win the round. Ah-Hun and the girl decided to attract each other by showing off their body shapes. She decided to kiss Ah-hun in order to create a spark between them. At first, they disliked the idea as there was no way, and they tried many ways to create a spark. Both of them looked at each other without knowing each other. A spark formed from their hands and threw the ring in a direction without any aim. The ring went straight to the hands of the ghost, and they passed the test. Everyone applauded them for their performance. Both of them started to like each other. She said her name was Pinky to Ah-hun. They introduced themselves to each other. After that, they decided to do the work together. They got permission to go outside. After that, the movie shows the lovely relationship between the two people. Suddenly, one pearl in their hand changed to white, showing that they felt happy. The next scene is one night when a few robbers share their hardships. Their aim was to somehow kill their boss, who cheated them. So they decided to try it alone. They kept on saying that they would meet each other in the next life. In the next scene, we see the haunted boy sitting next to a fisherwoman. He dropped his hands into a box that was kept there and ate everything that was inside it. Seeing that, the fisherwoman got scared. Immediately, the boy in his voice says, "I've been waiting for 500 years. It's your turn next," and shows the brute killing them. The next scene shows a few people playing in a casino. He was Pinky's boyfriend. Pinky died immediately after giving the loan to her boyfriend. His friends told him that they had been able to fulfill his needs. He started to light the lighter after he said, with a scornful smile, that he was sad that she died. But he is not able to light the lighter. He tried to burn again and again. But Pinky was blowing it all away by being on the other side. Ah-hun is besides Pinky. She told Ah-hun that she had to break him somehow. So they came up with a plan. Then her boyfriend walked out of the casino. Ah-hun and Pinky filled in with lust for sex. So he has gone out of control and started playing with a vehicle. Even though the owner of the vehicle tried to move him away, he fulfills his sex completely over the vehicle. Seeing that, both of them laughed loudly. Pinky's two white pearls turned black in the midst of happiness. The next day, she kept asking him one by one to get Ah-hun's memory back. She showed him many places and many people, but he remembered nothing. In the next scene, the girl in the medical shop is looking for something. Suddenly, her dog ran down to the road. After a while, Pinky and Ah-hun were walking. Immediately, he saw a dog staring at him. He looked at it closely. He suddenly remembered the dog. He began to remember his childhood. He held the dog and cried. Suddenly, the girl came very close to the dog. She couldn't see anyone there. When Ah-hun looked at her, he knew who it was. He remembered his childhood. He remembers the day she was new to the class and how he jumped at the sight of her and proposed, but she rejected him. But unwilling to give up helping her, Ah-hun kept on asking her if she would marry him. She told him that she would give the response when she grew up. Even when she grew up, she tricked him by telling him that she liked him. Then she said to the dog, "Where have you gone? Who else do I have but you?" Then he noticed the red string on her finger. Immediately, he remembered the last time he played basketball. It was this girl who was drinking sips that day. When the rain came, they all ran to the bus stop. She was right next to him. He took a thread from her cloth and tied the end of the thread between his and her fingers. After that, Ah-hun took a piece of thread from her cloth and tied its ends on both of their fingers. Ah-hun proposed to her at the bus stop. As she was about to answer, he was struck by lightning and she fell to the road. She saw him for a while and screamed, "Ah-hun, there is fire," when Ah-hun's body was about to be exposed to fire. Then she took her dog. He was crying, looking at the string on his finger. It is seen that he is telling the story of him and her to Pinky. He's telling her about how they used to spend their time doing homework and going to restaurants. In the next scene, the girl goes to the bathroom and starts washing her face after feeding the dog. As soon as Ah-hun went behind her and looked at the mirror, he started making noises because he used to cling to her by telling her that if she looked in the mirror and made a sound, she would see a ghost. She looks in the mirror, thinking that she actually sees him, but she hadn't seen him. The next scene shows him proposing to her on the basketball court. She rejected it. He kept proposing to her again and again. She kept saying no and no accordingly. Two boys were listening to their conversation from nearby. They made fun of him. Ah-hun got angry and went and beat them. After that, he is seen lying on the ground bleeding. As she began to wipe blood from his face, he wrote on her face, "Let's be one." When she stands in front of the mirror, she realizes what he wrote, and she begins to like him. The next day, she was preparing to say yes to him. Suddenly, he came and she said, "Yes," but he didn't understand what she meant. She got angry and left. Suddenly, he understood what she meant and rushed to her. They looked at each other for a while. Meanwhile, he goes to kiss her. She avoids it. In the next scene, Ah-hun sees basketball players asking her, "Are you coming to play?" And she says, "Next time." Then Ah-hun sat down beside her. Ah-hun felt sorry for her, as he thinks he is responsible for her lonely life. Suddenly, friends whom he had met at the strange place who had died came there from nowhere. They all tried everything they could to instill a sense of love in her. We can see each of them trying to attach the thread to the thread that was in her finger. Suddenly, the love thread began to break. He is happy to see that they have no other love. In the next scene, the haunted fisherwoman approaches a man and stabs him, but the ghost of him started to attack her. Then the leader of the robbery gang, who was watching all this, started bleeding from his head. He asked in anger, who betrayed him? The men in his gang said sorry to him and killed him. In the next scene, two people are seen talking to each other on top of the fort. Immediately, a woman came there and said that the second victim was a woman. In the next scene, the girl is seen reading a book and cooking. She is seen reading each dialogue. Ah-hun was reciting the dialogue that she was reciting. Suddenly, his entire team came and stood there. Immediately, Pinky took a thread and started circling her. Pinky tells him that this is to help him, even though Ah-hun tries to stop it. So when she was completely surrounded by thread, she felt something unsettling. After closing her eyes for a while, she opened her eyes and saw Ah-hun. It is later revealed that she fell after seeing a ghost in the medical shop. Similarly, in the exorcism ceremony, the witch tells her that if she sees a ghost, she should not speak a word, and if she does, she will be in danger. That's why she saw Ah-hun the day the dog ran into the road and pretended not to see him. She enjoyed watching him argue with his team. Then she broke the strings and told him, "I want you, and don't try to make me fall in love with someone else." The whole team is watching the rope break. Then he asked her, in surprise, "Can you see me?" And she said, "Yes, I can." Immediately, he went and hugged her sadly and was crying. Pinky could not see this. She went out sad. In the next scene, Pinky sees them talking to each other and becomes jealous of their renewed relationship. Everyone from the outside sees her as a crazy woman who speaks alone. Ah-hun and his crew are waiting for the lift. Pinky didn't say anything to him. Ah-hun knows that Pinky is disturbed. Ah-hun asked Pinky if she is okay. Pinky had gone out of the lift in silence. The next day, Ah-hun and his girlfriend were sitting at a restaurant talking to each other. Meanwhile, the doctor who treated the dog came and talked to her. Then, Ah-hun stepped in and started talking. She tells him to stop, but the doctor could not see to whom she is talking. So the doctor realizes that something is wrong with her. Suddenly, a person with a ghost inside his body sat near the doctor's table, where Ah-hun and his girlfriend were sitting. They all looked at him in surprise. She didn't know who it was. He looks at her and cries. Meanwhile, the story also shows her killing him in her previous life 500 years ago. Immediately, he tried to jump on her. Ah-hun knocked him down by that time. All this is seen by the people in the restaurant. She calls out to Ah-hun, but he holds him and tells her to run away. After a while, a woman who was the boss of the fort came to their aid. The boss told him to stop doing this. The ghost replied to him that he would get revenge on those who betrayed him in his past life. The ghost vanished away after he replied. In the next scene, Annan and Pinky are a romantic couple, and they are put in a dungeon inside the castle as a punishment for not doing anything together. Then he said sorry to her. Pinky didn't mind it. Later, they talked for a while and became friends. In the next scene, the girlfriend goes searching for Ah-hun everywhere, but she couldn't find him. So that night, she went to the basketball court, and while hitting the ball for a while, she found her dog lying dead. She gently touched the dog's head and cried, saying, "Thank you for not leaving me alone." Suddenly, the ghost came and entered her body. Immediately, the ghost tries to kill her. In the next scene, Ah-hun and Pinky are trapped, unable to escape from the dungeon. Suddenly, a rope came towards them. They grabbed it and started climbing. The ghost then tells her that he has treated her like a sister, and yet you cheated on me. In the next scene, when Ah-hun reaches the top holding the rope, he sees that it was his girlfriend's dog that saved them. They express their gratitude to the dog. The dog informed Ah-hun that his girlfriend was in danger by barking. soon they came out through the Ouija board to reach her. And next scene, as the ghost tries to kill her, a nail comes and pierces right through the ghost's forehead. It was done by the boss of the fort. Then the ghost and the lady boss started fighting. By then, Ah-hun and Pinky had reached the spot. Tried to wake her up. She told him that the dog was dead. Ah-hun said he knew it, and he started to cry. Besides, the battle between the castle's bosses and the ghost is going on. Ah-hun took the nail that was thrown by the lady of the fort and stabbed the ghost to the forehead. But the nail didn't go inside his head. He was scared. It was that time. He looked at his face. As soon as he saw him, he remembered something. Suddenly, he remembers the day when he asked a question to a lady who interviewed him whether he was a grasshopper or a cockroach in his previous life. Immediately, he sat on the ground and Ah-hun began expressing his gratitude and said that 7 days was a happy period for him. The next scene shows his previous birth as an insect. All the ants have covered this insect. It was this ghost who saw it and saved it that day. He used to tell the ants that this insect lives only 7 days. The ghost remembered all this. The ghost says, "I did you only a small favor." After that, both the ghost and the boss disappear. He immediately went to her. Then he plucked the sting of his soul so that she would be completely healed. Then he gave one end of it to Pinky, and she took it and ran away, crying. He placed one end in her hand and connected the other end to a vehicle in which a man was carrying a snail. Then Ah-hun remembers every romantic moment between him and her. The next scene shows Pinky walking with her team. She talks to them a lot. Meanwhile, she shows the love symbol inside her neck and goes to reincarnate, saying this is for Ah-hun to recognize her. The next scene shows the girlfriend going to the doctor to treat a turtle. Right next door, a boy and a girl are waiting outside to get their pets treated. Both of them started talking to each other. She realized that his style of talking was similar to Ah-hun. Then the film ends here by showing a love tattoo on the neck of the girl on the other side, which is Pinky reincarnated. I hope everyone enjoyed the movie. Do let me know your valuable comments in the comment box. Until then, we meet again with another movie explanation.